Aaron had been walking for hours, and yet it felt like days. The forest stretched endlessly before him, with towering trees whose trunks seemed older than time itself. Their leaves formed a thick canopy above, letting through only patches of sunlight that danced on the soft ground. The air was fresh, scented with pine and earth, but it carried an undercurrent of mystery. Every step Aaron took seemed to echo in a world that was both alive and silent at the same time. Birds chirped here and there, flitting between branches, and occasionally a small animal rustled through the underbrush. Despite the beauty, Aaron felt a sense of anticipation, as though the forest itself was waiting for something to happen. Aaron was not a young man, though he was still strong and full of curiosity. He had grown up listening to tales of the lost city, stories told by elders that spoke of a place where light and wisdom had once thrived, long before humans had forgotten its secrets. Many people dismissed these tales as myths, legends to entertain children around fires, but Aaron had always believed. There was something deep inside him, a spark that refused to accept the ordinary world as all there was. That spark had led him here, into this forest that no map could show, following a path that only he could feel. The journey had not been easy. There were rivers with currents strong enough to sweep a man away, cliffs so steep that one wrong step could end everything, and nights so cold that his teeth would chatter in sleep. Still, Aaron pressed on. He was careful, observing every detail of the forest, noting patterns in the animals' movements, and following the faint sounds of water and wind that seemed to guide him. Sometimes he felt as if the forest was speaking to him, telling him to go forward, warning him of danger, or offering quiet encouragement. Though he had been alone for days, he did not feel lonely. The forest was full of life, and he had learned to notice its rhythms. As the sun began to sink toward the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, Aaron finally came to a clearing. It was a wide space, unlike the dense paths he had been walking through. Here the grass was soft, and flowers of every color swayed gently in the breeze. A small stream cut across the clearing, its water sparkling as it reflected the fading light. At first, Aaron thought he had found a resting place, a quiet corner of nature where he could eat and drink. But then he saw her. She appeared almost as if she had been waiting for him. Standing at the far end of the clearing was a woman, but not an ordinary woman. She was tall, regal, and her presence seemed to command the very air around her. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light, and her hair flowed like liquid midnight, moving as though stirred by an invisible wind. But what struck Aaron most were her eyes. They glowed with a green fire, bright and alive, staring directly at him. He felt as if she could see not only his body but the very thoughts in his mind. A shiver ran down his spine, and for a moment he could not speak. The woman's clothing was elegant, flowing around her like mist. A crown rested on her head, simple in shape but shimmering with tiny lights that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. She raised one hand slowly and spoke, her voice clear and soft yet filled with authority. "Are you spoken for human?" she asked. Aaron blinked, uncertain how to respond. The question seemed simple, yet it carried a weight he did not understand. He shook his head, finally finding his voice. "I am not," he said quietly, feeling strangely nervous under her gaze. The queen, he knew she must be a queen, took a step closer. Her eyes never left his. "Few humans have ever come this far," she said. "Even fewer have reached this place and stood before me." Her voice held a musical quality, almost as if it carried the sounds of the forest itself. "Tell me, why do you journey through lands that others fear to tread?" Aaron swallowed hard. How could he explain his heart? "I seek truth," he said. "I want to learn what has been lost, what humans have forgotten." He felt his words were simple, almost foolish in the face of her presence, but he spoke them nonetheless. The queen's lips curved into a small, thoughtful smile. "Many seek knowledge," she said, "but few are ready to carry it. Knowledge is not light. It is weight, and it tests those who hold it." She paused, and for a moment Aaron felt the forest hold its breath with her. "Do you think you are ready, human?" Aaron did not answer immediately. He felt the truth of her words in his chest. He had faced hardship, yes, but he did not yet know if he could carry the burden of what he sought. Still, something in him stirred, a determination that had driven him through storms and over cliffs and across rivers. He straightened his shoulders. "I will try," he said. The queen's eyes seemed to glow brighter, and the air around her shimmered as if the forest itself recognized his answer. She raised both hands slightly, and the light in her crown grew stronger, reflecting off the stream and the flowers around them. Symbols appeared in the grass, faint at first, then clearer, golden shapes that twisted and moved like living fire. Aaron felt a strange warmth spread from the ground into his feet, a gentle power that did not hurt but made him aware of something larger than himself. "Step forward," the Queen said. Her voice carried a command, gentle yet impossible to ignore. Aaron obeyed, feeling the pull of the light in the circle she had created. As he moved closer, he saw that the symbols were not random. They formed patterns that seemed to tell stories of places and people long gone. The air smelled sweet, like blossoms and rain combined, and Aaron felt a tingling in his hands as if touching something alive. "You are different from others," the Queen said, her eyes never leaving his. Others would have turned back at the first sign of danger. Others would have been blind to the truths hidden in these lands. But you have come here and you see. That is rare. Aaron felt a strange humility and pride at the same time. He had not thought of himself as special. He had simply followed the spark inside him. And yet, standing here, he realized that spark had carried him far. He realized that perhaps this Queen, with her glowing eyes and quiet power, had been waiting for someone who could see and act. Someone who could bear the weight of forgotten knowledge. The Queen stepped closer still, and the symbols in the grass pulsed with light in response to her movement. Aaron felt as if the world itself leaned forward, curious about what would happen next. "You will face choices," she said softly. "Choices that will test not only your strength but your heart. Every step you take will matter. Are you willing to continue?" Aaron nodded, though his heart pounded. "I am," he said, though a part of him wondered if he truly understood what he was agreeing to. The Queen smiled again, a slow, knowing smile that made the forest seem brighter. "Then let the journey begin," she said. She raised one hand and a faint glow surrounded them both. Aaron felt the air lift him slightly as if he were walking on something unseen. The symbols in the grass swirled faster, and the forest itself seemed to lean closer, eager to witness what would happen next. For the first time, Aaron felt that his journey was not just about finding a lost city or forgotten knowledge. It was about discovering something within himself, something he had never known. The Queen watched him, her eyes glowing like twin emeralds, and he felt a connection that went beyond words, beyond fear, beyond wonder. And in that moment, Aaron understood that the forest, the Queen, the lost city, and even the long journey itself were all part of a story far larger than himself, one he had only just begun to step into. Aaron followed the Queen deeper into the forest. Every step he took was careful, yet he felt a strange lightness in his movements, as if the very ground supported him. The forest changed as they went. The trees grew taller, their trunks wider, and the air shimmered faintly as though sprinkled with golden dust. Strange flowers bloomed along the path, glowing softly in colors he had never seen before. Small creatures peeked from behind leaves and rocks, watching them silently. None of them seemed afraid, and yet the forest itself carried a sense of caution, as if it was waiting for something to happen. "Why does the forest feel different here?" Aaron asked, glancing around at the glowing plants and shimmering air. The Queen did not look at him immediately. She walked with perfect grace, her eyes fixed ahead, her crown catching the soft light. "This forest has always been alive, human," she said finally. "It responds to those who are pure in purpose. Some see it and pass by without noticing, blind to its secrets. You, however, can see." Aaron felt a warmth in his chest at her words. He had never considered himself special, only curious and determined. But now he felt that the forest and the Queen somehow recognized something within him, something he had not understood before. "How does it recognize me?" he asked. The Queen glanced at him, her glowing eyes softening. "It does not recognize you alone," she said. "It recognizes your heart, your courage, your willingness to seek truth even when the path is unclear. Many humans have walked these lands, but few have hearts that remain untainted by fear or doubt. That is why you are here." Aaron swallowed. He had faced many dangers already. Yet her words made him realize that the journey ahead would demand more than strength or cleverness. It would demand courage of a deeper kind, the kind that reached into the very soul. As they walked, the Queen suddenly stopped in front of a massive tree. Its trunk was wide enough that 10 men could stand around it and still not touch. Its bark was silver gray and smooth, with patterns that twisted like rivers frozen in time. At the base of the tree, a small hollow glowed faintly. Aaron leaned closer, curiosity burning inside him. "This tree is old, older than any human record," the Queen explained. It is a guardian, a keeper of knowledge. It watches those who pass by, and it opens its secrets only to those it trusts. The hollow in the tree began to grow brighter, and symbols similar to the ones in the clearing appeared on the bark. Aaron reached out tentatively. As his fingers touched the smooth surface, a vision entered his mind. He saw a city made of light with towers that reached the clouds. People moved gracefully along the streets, their eyes bright with understanding and joy. There were fountains that flowed with water that sparkled like liquid diamonds, and gardens that glowed with every color imaginable. Aaron felt a rush of awe and longing. This was the city he had been seeking, but it felt distant, as though separated from time itself. The Queen's voice interrupted his vision. This city is the one you seek, but it is not as it once was. Long ago, humans lived here, and knowledge and light thrived. But greed and fear grew, and the city was forgotten. Its wisdom faded, and only a few like you can find the path to it now. Aaron felt a mix of excitement and sorrow. He had imagined the city as a place of wonder, but he had not realized the depth of what had been lost. "Can it be restored?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the light of the symbols on the tree. "It can be," she said, "but only if one chosen is willing to face trials that test every part of them, strength, mind, and heart. Many have tried and failed. Many were not ready. You, however, have begun the journey. Whether you succeed or fail depends on what you do next." Aaron nodded, determination building inside him. He felt the weight of responsibility, yet it was not heavy. It was a weight that made him feel alive, that made every step meaningful. He realized that the journey was not just about finding the city or gaining knowledge. It was about becoming the kind of person who could carry that knowledge without losing himself. The Queen extended her hand. A small crystal floated into Aaron's palm, glowing softly. Its light was warm, and when he held it, he felt a connection to the forest, the tree, and the city he had glimpsed. "This crystal will guide you," the Queen said. "It will show you what must be done, and it will protect you from dangers both seen and unseen. But remember, it is not a weapon to fight with. It is a guide, and its power depends on your courage and choices." Aaron studied the crystal, amazed at the soft light inside. He could feel a pulse almost like a heartbeat, as if the crystal itself were alive. "I will not fail," he said quietly, more to himself than to the Queen. The Queen nodded, her eyes glowing with approval. "You may not know what lies ahead, but you have already shown the heart of one who can walk this path. That is more than many ever achieve." Suddenly, the air around them shifted. Shadows moved in the corners of the forest, dark and twisted forms that slithered between the trees. The forest, which had seemed calm, now felt alive with tension. Aaron tightened his grip on the crystal, feeling its warmth spread into his hand and up his arm. The Queen raised a hand, and a soft barrier of light appeared around them, glowing faintly but strong enough to hold back the shadows. "These are the first of many challenges," the Queen said. "They test your resolve, your focus, and your heart. Do not fear them, but do not underestimate them either. Each must be faced with courage and care." Aaron stepped forward, feeling the weight of the crystal and the guidance it offered. The shadows approached, twisting and shifting, but the light barrier held. Aaron felt a sense of clarity. He understood that the challenge was not only to defend himself, but to understand the nature of what he faced. These shadows were part of the forest, part of the trials, and part of the journey he had chosen. As the shadows faded, the Queen lowered her hand. The barrier disappeared, and the forest returned to its serene state, though Aaron knew this was only the beginning. "Each trial will teach you something," she said. "Sometimes it will be about the world. Sometimes it will be about yourself. Pay attention, human, for knowledge is found in the smallest details as well as the grandest visions." Aaron nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He took a deep breath, the fresh air filling his lungs, and looked at the path ahead. The forest seemed endless, yet he felt ready. With the crystal in his hand, the Queen by his side, and his heart full of purpose, he understood that the journey ahead was not only about finding the lost city. It was about becoming the person capable of restoring it. The Queen began to walk again, and Aaron followed, matching her pace. They moved deeper into the forest, where the light changed, and the sounds of birds and animals grew softer. Every now and then, Aaron saw glimpses of something extraordinary. A waterfall that sparkled with golden light, a flower that opened and closed in perfect rhythm, and birds with feathers that glowed faintly in the dark. Each sight reminded him of the magic in the world. magic that humans had forgotten but which still existed, waiting for one with courage and vision to rediscover it. Hours passed, though Aaron did not notice. The journey through the forest was not easy, but it was filled with wonder. The Queen occasionally spoke, sharing riddles and lessons in a voice soft yet commanding. "Courage is not the absence of fear," she said at one point. "It is the choice to move forward even when fear is present. Wisdom is not knowing all answers. It is knowing where to look and being ready to learn. Remember these truths, for they will guide you more than any map." As night began to fall, the forest changed again. The glow of flowers and plants became brighter, casting a soft light that lit their path. Stars appeared in the sky above, twinkling faintly through the canopy. Aaron felt a sense of peace and determination. He had traveled far, faced challenges and glimpsed wonders beyond imagination, and yet he knew the hardest part of the journey was still ahead. The Queen stopped near a small hill, her glowing eyes studying the horizon. "Rest here tonight," she said. "Tomorrow the path becomes harder and you must be ready. The choices you make will shape what comes next, and every step will matter." Aaron nodded, setting the crystal carefully beside him. He felt the energy of the forest around him, a calm but powerful force that seemed to watch over him. As he lay down on the soft grass, he looked at the Queen one last time. Her eyes glowed faintly in the night, filled with mystery, wisdom, and an unspoken challenge. Aaron felt a thrill of anticipation for what was to come, knowing that his journey had truly begun. And as he drifted into sleep under the glowing forest, he dreamed of the lost city, of golden light, and of a path that only he could walk, guided by courage, heart, and the wisdom of the Queen with the glowing eyes. The next morning, Aaron woke to the soft light of the forest filtering through the leaves. The air was cool, carrying the scent of flowers and damp earth. He sat up slowly, stretching his arms and legs, feeling the crystal's faint warmth still resting beside him. It pulsed gently as if aware of his thoughts. The Queen was already awake, standing near a tall tree with her glowing eyes scanning the forest around them. She turned to him and smiled faintly. "It is time," she said. "The path ahead is not easy, and you must be ready to face what comes." Aaron rose to his feet, his heart steady despite the nervous fluttering in his stomach. He had already faced shadows and strange lights, yet the words of the Queen reminded him that each step forward would be a test of courage and understanding. "I am ready," he said, although a small part of him wondered if anyone could ever truly be ready for what was ahead. The Queen led him to a narrow path that wound between enormous trees. The air grew cooler as they walked, and the sounds of the forest grew quieter, replaced by a soft hum that seemed to come from the trees themselves. Aaron noticed that the ground beneath his feet seemed to respond to his steps. Tiny lights sparkled where he walked, as though the forest itself welcomed him and guided his way. He felt a strange calm in his heart, a mixture of excitement and anticipation. After some time, they reached a river, its water clear and fast-moving. A stone bridge arched across it, old and covered with moss. Aaron stepped onto it cautiously, feeling the vibrations of the water below. The Queen followed, her presence steady and calm. "The river is more than water," she said softly. "It carries memories of the past. Listen carefully and you may learn what was lost." Aaron leaned over the edge, watching the water flow. At first it seemed ordinary, but then images appeared beneath the surface. He saw people moving through streets of light, fountains that shone like silver, and gardens that glowed with colors beyond imagination. He realized he was seeing visions of the lost city, as if the river itself remembered what had been forgotten. "It is beautiful," he whispered, awe filling his voice. "Yes," the Queen said. "It was once a place of wonder, where humans and nature lived in harmony and knowledge and wisdom grew in every corner. But it was lost when people stopped listening, when fear and greed replaced understanding. Your journey is to uncover it again, to bring it back into the light." Aaron felt the weight of her words. He had not realized that the task before him was more than finding a city or gathering knowledge. It was about restoring a balance that had been broken for generations. He clenched the crystal in his hand, feeling its warmth and guidance. "I will do my best," he said firmly. "I will not let it be forgotten again." The Queen nodded, her eyes glowing brighter for a moment. "Then you must pass the first trial," she said. "It is not a trial of strength, but of perception and understanding. Follow the river and pay attention to what it reveals. The path is not always what it seems, and many have failed because they were blinded by their own expectations. Aaron stepped carefully along the riverbank, his eyes scanning the water and the forest around him. At first the path seemed simple, but soon he noticed strange reflections in the water. Some were illusions, paths that appeared solid but ended in nothingness. Others showed shadows of himself, moving independently as if testing his courage and focus. Aaron realized he could not trust everything he saw. He had to rely on his heart, his intuition, and the guidance of the crystal. Hours passed as he navigated the river, stepping carefully over rocks and fallen branches, avoiding illusions and staying alert. The Queen walked beside him silently, her presence a steady anchor in the shifting forest. Occasionally she would point out a detail, a leaf shaped unusually, a ripple in the water, a sound in the distance, and Aaron would realize that each small clue mattered. The trial was teaching him to notice, to observe, and to trust what he felt as much as what he saw. At one point the river widened, and a mist rose from the water, thick and heavy. Aaron's heart beat faster as the world around him grew unclear. Shapes moved in the fog, trees, rocks, and strange silhouettes that could have been creatures or simply shadows. He tightened his grip on the crystal, feeling it pulse with a stronger light. A soft voice seemed to echo in his mind, guiding him. "Trust what is real and do not be swayed by fear or doubt," it said. Aaron nodded, stepping forward with careful determination. Slowly he found a path through the mist, following the guidance of the crystal and his instincts. The mist cleared, revealing a small island in the middle of the river. On it stood a statue carved from stone, depicting a human with arms raised toward the sky. Aaron felt a strange energy radiating from the statue, and he approached it cautiously. Symbols similar to those in the clearing and on the tree glowed faintly around its base. The Queen's voice spoke softly behind him. "This statue is a reminder of the first humans who lived in the lost city. They sought wisdom and they cherished harmony. Look closely and you may understand their lesson." Aaron studied the statue. Its eyes, though carved from stone, seemed almost alive. He noticed that the base was inscribed with words in a language he did not recognize, yet somehow understood. They spoke of patience, of listening to the world, of observing before acting. Aaron realized that the first trial was not about fighting or speed, but about understanding and insight. He closed his eyes and allowed the crystal's warmth to fill his mind, focusing on the lessons of the statue and the river. When he opened his eyes, he felt a clarity he had not felt before. The symbols around the statue glowed brighter, and the mist over the river lifted completely. He understood the path forward. The trial had not been to test his strength, but to awaken his perception, to teach him that the journey ahead would require more than physical courage. The Queen stepped forward, her eyes glowing with approval. "You have passed the first trial," she said. "Few humans have ever reached this point. Remember the lesson you have learned here. The journey will become harder, and each challenge will demand what you have discovered today." Aaron nodded, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He had faced illusions, shadows, and fear itself, and he had emerged with understanding. He realized that the lost city was not just a place to find, but a truth to learn and live by. The crystal pulsed gently in his hand, as if agreeing with his thoughts. The Queen led him off the island, back to the main path along the river. As they walked, she spoke of the city in greater detail. The people who lived there understood that knowledge is not power alone. It is a gift, a responsibility. Each discovery must be used to protect, to heal, and to teach. That is why the city was lost. Those who sought knowledge for selfish gain could not endure its truths. You, however, have shown patience and humility. These are qualities that will carry you further than strength alone ever could. Aaron felt a sense of awe. He had always thought of courage and determination as his greatest qualities, but he now realized that patience, observation, and humility were just as important. The journey was teaching him more than he had expected, and each lesson felt like a small key unlocking the path ahead. By evening, they reached the edge of a canyon, its depths hidden in shadow. A narrow path wound down its side, and Aaron could see strange lights glowing far below. The Queen stopped at the edge, her eyes reflecting the last rays of the sun. "The next trial awaits there," she said. "It will test not only what you see, but what you believe. Remember the river, the statue, and the lessons you have learned. Use your heart, and you will find your way." Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the crystal and the knowledge he had gained so far. He looked at the canyon below, knowing that the journey would become more difficult with each step. Yet he felt ready. The first trial had prepared him for what was to come, and he understood that every challenge was a step toward the lost city and the wisdom it held. With careful steps, he began his descent, the queen following close behind. The forest above faded into shadows and the lights of the canyon grew brighter, guiding their path. Aaron's heart was steady, and he felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. He knew that the journey ahead would be full of trials, wonders, and dangers, but he also knew that he had begun to understand the lessons that would carry him forward. As night fell, the canyon lights shimmered like stars in a sky below. Aaron felt a sense of wonder, realizing that every step he took was part of a larger story, a story of courage, wisdom, and discovery. He glanced at the queen, her eyes glowing softly in the dark, and felt the connection between them, a bond of trust, guidance, and shared purpose. The journey continued, and Aaron knew that the lost city, the crystal, and the queen's wisdom were only the beginning. What lay ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine, but he was ready. The first trial had awakened his perception, his courage, and his understanding, and he was determined to carry these lessons forward, one step at a time. The canyon path twisted and turned, narrow and uneven, making Aaron's steps careful and deliberate. The lights below shimmered like tiny stars, guiding their way, but shadows danced across the rocks in strange patterns. Every movement of the wind seemed to carry whispers, and Aaron felt the weight of silence pressing around him. The crystal in his hand pulsed softly, its warmth a gentle reassurance. The queen walked beside him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She moved with calm certainty, as though the canyon itself bowed to her presence. "This path will test more than your eyes or feet," she said, her voice echoing softly. "It will test your heart. You must move forward not only with courage but with trust in yourself and in the choices you make." Aaron nodded, feeling the truth in her words. Every trial so far had taught him lessons, but the sense of purpose he now carried made him realize that the challenges ahead would demand more than skill or observation. They would demand understanding, wisdom, and strength of spirit. As they descended deeper, the canyon walls grew taller and the air cooler. The sound of water reached them, rushing, roaring, almost alive. Ahead, a river cut across their path, wider than any they had seen before. Its waters were dark and currents twisted like moving shadows. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. He could see no bridge, no stones, only the rushing river blocking the way. The queen stopped at the edge, her glowing eyes studying the water. "This is the trial of choice," she said. "You cannot see all paths clearly, but one will carry you across safely. The river will reveal it only to the one who trusts insight over fear. Look carefully and choose wisely, human." Aaron studied the river, feeling the currents tug at his mind. The waters seemed alive, shifting and twisting as if testing him. Shadows appeared to rise from the river, forming shapes like figures that reached for him. He felt a shiver run down his spine but held the crystal firmly in his hand. Its light pulsed gently, reminding him to remain calm and focused. Closing his eyes for a moment, Aaron let his mind quiet. He remembered the lessons of the river and the statue from the previous trial. He remembered patience, observation, and humility, and now he realized the river required trust, not in his eyes alone but in his heart. Slowly, he opened his eyes and focused on the smallest movements in the water. A faint shimmer appeared, a narrow path that twisted just enough to be almost invisible. "This is it," he whispered to himself. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. The water rose around his feet, swirling, cold but not unmanageable. Every step required care and attention. The shadows in the water seemed to follow him, yet the crystal's light kept him steady. Step by step he moved, following the shimmering path. At times the water surged around him, yet he did not panic. He trusted the guidance within himself, the lessons he had learned, and the warmth of the crystal. Halfway across, the river roared louder, and a strong current threatened to push him off the path. Aaron's heart pounded, but he kept his focus. "Patience," he whispered. "Observation. Trust." He leaned into the current, letting it move him slightly but never losing sight of the shimmer. Slowly, carefully, he reached the far side. The moment his feet touched solid ground, the river calmed, the shadows disappeared, and the crystal glowed more brightly than ever. The queen's eyes shone with approval. You have passed the trial of choice, she said softly. Many humans have tried and failed, overwhelmed by fear or doubt. You have shown courage, patience, and trust. These are the qualities that will carry you further. Aaron exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. The trial had tested him in ways he had not expected. It had not been about strength or speed, but about his heart and mind. He felt a deeper connection to the journey and to the crystal, as if the two were linked by purpose. The Queen led him along the canyon floor, where the path widened and became more stable. The air carried the scent of earth and water, and occasional gusts of wind brought hints of flowers from distant forests. Aaron noticed small animals watching them curiously, yet none approached. He realized the canyon, like the forest before, was alive and observing, testing those who passed through. Each trial has a purpose, the Queen said as they walked. It is not enough to succeed. You must understand why you succeed and what it teaches. Only then can you carry knowledge safely into the world. Remember this, human, for the next trials will be even more difficult. Aaron listened carefully, absorbing her words. He had already begun to understand that the journey was as much about learning who he was as about finding the lost city. The trials were shaping him, awakening parts of himself he had never known. Courage, patience, trust, and now understanding, each quality strengthened him for the path ahead. After some time, they reached a small cave at the canyon's edge. Its entrance was wide, and faint light spilled from within, reflecting off the crystal in Aaron's hand. The Queen paused and looked at him. The cave ahead is the trial of insight, she said. It will show you what you see and what you choose to understand. Some truths are not simple, and some visions may challenge what you believe. Enter with an open mind and a steady heart. Aaron stepped into the cave cautiously. The walls glowed faintly, covered with carvings that pulsed with light. Symbols moved and shifted, forming images of cities, people, and landscapes. Aaron felt the same energy he had felt at the statue and in the river, yet this was stronger, more alive. The crystal pulsed in his hand, and he realized it was guiding him toward the carvings that mattered most. As he moved deeper, the cave seemed to expand, revealing a chamber filled with light and shadow. Images floated in the air, showing the history of the lost city. He saw people building towers, planting gardens, teaching children, and celebrating discoveries. Then the images changed, showing conflict, misunderstanding, and fear that led to the city's decline. Aaron felt sorrow and hope mix in his chest. He understood that knowledge alone was not enough. The heart and intention of those who used it were just as important. The Queen's voice echoed softly in the chamber. See clearly, human. Do not be blinded by what you desire or fear. Learn from what is, not only from what you hope. Understanding the truth requires courage and honesty with oneself. Aaron nodded, closing his eyes to focus. He let the crystal guide him and allowed himself to feel the truth in the visions. Slowly he saw the patterns, the rise and fall, the lessons embedded in every moment of the city's history. He realized that the lost city had been a reflection of those who lived there. Its fate had depended on the hearts of its people, just as his journey depended on his own heart. When he opened his eyes, the chamber glowed brighter, and the images began to fade. The Queen stepped beside him, her eyes shining with pride. You have completed the trial of insight, she said. Few humans can see clearly and learn without judgment or fear. You have shown the understanding that will carry you further. Remember what you have learned, for it will guide your choices as you move closer to the city. Aaron felt a deep sense of clarity and purpose. He had faced illusions, fear, and visions that could have confused or overwhelmed him, yet he had remained steady. He understood that the journey was not just about reaching a destination, but about becoming the kind of person who could carry wisdom responsibly. The Queen led him out of the cave, back into the canyon. The night sky stretched above them, filled with stars that sparkled like distant cities. The air was cool and calm, and Aaron felt a sense of peace. The trials had tested him, shaped him, and strengthened him. He knew that the lost city was still ahead, yet he felt ready for whatever lay between him and it. This journey is only part of what you will face, the Queen said softly. The city waits, but it is not simply a place of light. It is a place of responsibility, of balance. You will need all you have learned and more to awaken it fully. Every choice, every act, every thought will matter. Aaron nodded, the crystal warm in his hand. He understood now that the journey was not about finding the city first, but about preparing himself to protect and restore it. The lessons of the canyon, the river, and the cave had shown him what it meant to see clearly, to trust, and to act with courage and wisdom. As they made camp for the night, Aaron felt a deep calm. The canyon around them seemed to hum softly, as if acknowledging his growth. The crystal pulsed gently, reminding him that the path ahead was still long, but that he had already begun to walk it with the right heart and mind. He looked at the queen, her eyes glowing softly in the dark, and felt a sense of trust and connection. The trials had been difficult, yet he knew they were preparing him for something far greater. The lost city awaited, and with every lesson learned, every step taken, he felt closer to the moment when he would stand at its gates and understand what it truly meant to carry knowledge, courage, and responsibility. Aaron lay down beneath the stars, the crystal glowing faintly by his side. The lessons of the day echoed in his mind, filling him with hope and determination. The journey was far from over, but he felt ready to face whatever came next, knowing that the city, the crystal, and the queen's guidance would lead him forward. The dawn light touched the canyon with a soft glow, painting the rocks in shades of gold and orange. Aaron awoke, feeling the warmth of the crystal in his hand and the calm presence of the queen beside him. Today, he knew, would bring him closer to the lost city, the place he had dreamed of and prepared for. The lessons of the past trials, patience, courage, insight, and trust burned in his mind. He felt ready, yet a deep sense of anticipation stirred in his chest, a mixture of excitement and respect for the challenges yet to come. The queen began to move first, her glowing eyes scanning the canyon path. "The city awaits," she said softly, "but reaching it is only the first step. What you do there will determine whether it remains lost or is reborn. Remember what you have learned, human, and carry it with you into the heart of the city." Aaron nodded and followed her. The path ahead was narrower than before, lined with cliffs that fell sharply into shadows. The wind whistled softly, carrying faint echoes of the past. As they walked, he noticed signs of the city's remnants, crumbling walls, broken statues, and pathways covered in moss. Yet even in decay there was beauty. He could feel the city's heartbeat in the stones beneath his feet, a pulse of life waiting to be awakened. After several hours, they reached the base of a massive gate, overgrown with vines and glowing faintly with soft light. The queen paused. "This is the entrance," she said. "Beyond these gates lies the heart of the city. But know this, it will not open to fear, greed, or doubt. You must walk forward with clarity and purpose." Aaron stepped closer, feeling the crystal pulse strongly in his hand. He reached out and touched the gate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the vines parted and the gates opened with a soft hum, revealing a city bathed in gentle light. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. The streets, buildings, and gardens were all alive with faint energy, as though waiting for someone to awaken them fully. The queen gestured for him to step inside. "The city recognizes you, human. But recognition alone is not enough. You must restore balance and understanding. Begin at the center. That is where the city's heart lies." Aaron walked through the streets, marveling at the sights. Fountains shimmered as though filled with liquid starlight. Flowers glowed softly in every color imaginable, and statues seemed to watch him with quiet expectation. He felt the pulse of the crystal in his hand growing stronger, guiding him toward the city's center. Each step felt significant, as though the ground itself remembered the humans who had once walked here and now trusted him to carry their legacy forward. As he moved deeper, shadows appeared, not unlike those he had seen in the canyon. They twisted and reached for him, testing his focus. He tightened his grip on the crystal, remembering the lessons of perception and courage. Step by step, he moved forward, ignoring fear and trusting the crystal's guidance. Slowly, the shadows dissipated, revealing the true path. Finally, he arrived at a large plaza at the heart of the city. In the center stood a towering structure glowing softly, its walls covered in inscriptions and symbols. Aaron could feel the energy radiating from it, a mixture of history, wisdom, and light. The crystal pulsed strongly in his hand as if urging him to place it within the structure. The queen spoke beside him. "This is the heart of the city. Only one who has faced the trials, learned their lessons, and acted with courage and understanding can awaken it fully. You have reached this moment, human. What you do now will decide the fate of all that was lost." Aaron took a deep breath, closing his eyes for a moment. He thought of the river, the statue, the canyon, and the cave. He remembered the lessons of patience, courage, insight, and trust. He opened his eyes and stepped forward, placing the crystal in a carved slot at the center of the structure. The crystal glowed brighter, and the city responded immediately. Light spread from the heart of the structure, flowing through the streets, fountains, and gardens. Statues moved gently, fountains danced with sparkling water, and flowers opened fully, glowing with colors more vivid than Aaron had ever seen. The air felt alive, filled with a soft hum of energy and harmony. He realized the city was awakening, returning to life after centuries of silence. The Queen watched, her glowing eyes reflecting pride and satisfaction. "You have done it, human," she said softly. "The city remembers now, and its knowledge and wisdom can be shared once more. But remember, awakening it is not the end. You must protect it, guide it, and ensure that it thrives. That is the true responsibility of one who carries the heart of this place." Aaron felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey had been long and difficult, but every trial, every lesson had prepared him for this moment. He looked around the city, seeing not only its beauty but also its potential. He understood that the lost city was a reflection of the humans who had lived here and those who would come after. Its restoration required not only knowledge but care, responsibility, and wisdom. As the city came fully to life, Aaron noticed people appearing, not in body but in memory. Figures from the past moving through streets, tending gardens and sharing knowledge. They looked at him with quiet gratitude, as if acknowledging the role he had played in their city's return. He felt a connection to them, a sense of continuity and purpose that went beyond time. The Queen stepped closer, her eyes glowing softly. "You have done more than awaken the city, human," she said. "You have proven that courage, wisdom, and patience can restore what was lost. This city is now a part of you, and you are a part of it. Carry this knowledge and ensure it is never forgotten again." Aaron nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had set out seeking the lost city, but he had discovered much more. Lessons about himself, the importance of trust, and the power of courage guided by understanding. He realized that the true journey was not only about finding the city, but becoming someone worthy of its legacy. As night fell over the awakened city, the lights glowed softly, casting gentle reflections on the streets and fountains. Aaron walked among them, marveling at the harmony and energy that now filled the air. The Queen stood nearby, watching him with her glowing eyes. "Rest now, human," she said. "The city will thrive under your care, and its wisdom will be shared. You have completed your journey here, but your role is only beginning. Protect what you have awakened, and the world will remember the courage and heart that restored it." Aaron lay down near the central fountain, the crystal resting beside him. The water shimmered in the soft light, reflecting his face and the city around him. He felt a deep peace, a sense of accomplishment that filled his chest and quieted his thoughts. The trials had tested him, shaped him, and guided him, and now he understood the meaning of responsibility and stewardship. In his mind, he saw the river, the canyon, the cave, and the statues. Each trial, each lesson had led him here. He realized that the journey had not only been about the city, but about becoming the kind of person who could carry knowledge, courage, and wisdom without fear or pride. He understood now that the city's heart was not only in the structure at the center, but in him as well. As he drifted into sleep beneath the glowing lights of the city, Aaron felt a quiet joy. The city had returned, its knowledge and beauty restored, and he had discovered the strength within himself to guide it. The Queen's eyes glowed softly in the distance, a reminder that wisdom and courage were always connected, and that the journey of learning and protecting what is good never truly ends. When he awoke the next morning, the city was alive with movement. The fountains danced, gardens bloomed more brilliantly than before, and the soft hum of energy filled every corner. Aaron smiled, knowing that his journey had led to something greater than he had imagined. He had awakened a city, restored its heart, and discovered the courage and wisdom within himself. The crystal glowed softly, a reminder of the path he had walked and the choices he had made. The Queen approached, her presence as calm and powerful as ever. "The city will thrive under your care, Aaron," she said, "and you will carry its lessons with you. Remember that knowledge is not only a gift but a responsibility. You have proven yourself worthy." Aaron nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. He had begun as a seeker of the lost city, but he had become its guardian, its friend, and its champion. The trials had been many, the lessons hard, but the reward was more than he could have imagined. He looked at the city around him, alive and radiant, and felt a connection that would never fade. The Queen watched him for a moment longer, her eyes glowing like emerald flames. Then she turned, walking back toward the canyon, leaving Aaron to explore and care for the city he had awakened. He knew that she would always be a guide, a presence to remind him of the lessons he had learned. But now the responsibility and joy of the city were his own. Aaron walked through the streets, feeling the pulse of life and light. The crystal in his hand seemed to smile with him, guiding his steps and reflecting the wisdom he had gained. He understood that the journey was not over. The city required care, knowledge, and courage every day. But he was ready, and he knew that the lessons of the trials, the crystal, and the Queen's guidance would always stay with him. He looked up at the glowing sky, the stars reflecting the city's lights, and felt a deep sense of peace. The lost city had been found, its heart restored, and he had discovered the courage and wisdom when,